My name is Nancy Westfall. I'm 36 years old and I'm a firefighter in a mid-sized Ohio city just outside Columbus. I've been with the department for 12 years. I work 24-hour shifts, sleep in a bunk room that smells like burnt coffee and old sweat, and run into burning buildings for a living. I've carried strangers out of smoke-filled kitchens, and cut people free from twisted metal on the highway at 3 o'clock in the morning. All of that is easier than dealing with my parents. I have one child. My daughter's name is Lily. She's 7. Lily has brown hair that never stays in a neat ponytail and eyes that light up the second something new catches her attention. She asks questions the way some kids breathe constantly without realizing it. Like the world is a puzzle she can't stop trying to solve. She reads street signs out loud when we drive. She wants to know why traffic lights are always red on one side and green on the other. Once when our toaster broke, she asked if she could take it apart to see where the toast goes when it dies. She is my favorite human being on the planet. To my parents, she's a lot. They never use that word directly. They say things like spirited or very verbal. The same careful tone they use when they talk about my job as that firefighter thing, like it's a phase I'll eventually grow out of. My parents live 20 minutes away in the same low ranch house I grew up in. They're both in their early 60s. My dad retired early from a factory job when his back finally gave out. My mom worked at a grocery store for years, then stopped because, as she put it, "Your father needs me around more now." What they actually needed was money. I was the kid who left. I joined the department, got a union job, benefits, a steady paycheck. I stopped asking them for help. And somehow that turned me into the solution for everything that went wrong in their lives. It started small. Their property taxes jumped 1 year. Just this once, my mom said, "We're a little behind. $600 would really help." I covered it. The next year it happened again, then again after that. Eventually, it was easier to set up an automatic transfer. $200 every Friday straight into their checking account. No end date, no discussion, just expected. When their roof started leaking, I put $4,800 on my credit card. When their car died, I loaned them $3,000 for a used sedan with rust creeping along the door. When my younger sister had her second baby and her husband's hours got cut, I paid for the emergency C-section bill with overtime money. My mom called me our rock, our hero, our firefighter with a heart of gold. She never called me our daughter who keeps paying, but that's what I was. I told myself it was fine. I make decent money. I pick up extra shifts. My bills are paid. And they're my parents. That's what you do, right? You help. I kept hoping that all that generosity would come back around as patience or affection, or even basic interest in Lily. It didn't. The first time they dismissed her, she was 4. Sunday dinner, spaghetti and garlic bread, the usual. Lily sat next to my dad and asked him why spaghetti was long instead of short. "And who decided that?" He sighed. "Because it just is. Eat." She tried again. "But who picked it? Like one guy or a group of noodle people?" He rolled his eyes and looked at me. "You've really got to tell her to give it a rest sometimes." I laughed it off, embarrassed. "She's curious, Dad. It's a good thing." "Yeah," he said, "until it gets on people's nerves. After that, it was comments here and there. Does she ever stop talking? Maybe she doesn't need to correct adults all the time. She exhausted your Aunt Brenda." They loved my sister's kids. Quiet kids, tablet-trained kids who could sit on a couch for hours scrolling videos without saying a word. So well behaved, my mom would coo. "They don't bother anyone." Meanwhile, Lily would be on the floor building a crooked Lego bridge and asking why real bridges don't fall down. My mom would step over her like she was clutter. Every time it stung, I told myself it wasn't that bad. No one was yelling. No one was hitting her. They just didn't know what to do with a kid like her. And every time they forgot to include her, I filled the hole with money. When my parents wanted a big family weekend at a water park and my sister said they couldn't afford it, I paid for the cabin. When my dad wanted a new big screen TV for football Sundays, I bought it and installed it myself, crawling behind their dusty entertainment center while Lily sat on the couch, ignored, asking if anyone wanted to learn the names of all the bones in the hand. No one did. The real shift started last year when my parents decided they wanted to go on an Alaskan cruise for their 40th anniversary. Balcony room, excursions, the whole thing. Around $8,000. We'll put down 3, my dad said casually over dinner. Could you and your sister cover the rest? Kind of a thank you for everything we've done. My sister looked at me. She's a teacher. Her husband works at a tire shop. They live paycheck to paycheck. We can probably swing it, my mom added, glancing at me. With all that overtime she does. I did the math instantly, and for the first time I said, no, not loudly, not angrily, just no. We're not funding a luxury vacation. Lily needs braces soon. We're good for emergencies, not cruises. My mom went cold. Fine, she said. We'll figure it out. They never brought it up again. But something changed. The thank you text stopped. The only messages I got were, did the deposit go through? Or your dad says the balance looks low. My boyfriend noticed. One night while we were balancing our own budget, he said quietly, do you realize they only contact you about money or holidays? I shrugged. That's just how they are. Lily notices, he said. That part hurt more than I expected. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, my mom called while I was at the station. She asked if I was at work. Then she cleared her throat. Your father and I have been talking about Thanksgiving, she said. My stomach dropped. This year, we think it's best if it's just adults and kids who don't need so much attention. I stood there, the echo of the engine bay humming around me. What does that mean? I asked. Well, she said. Lily asks a lot of questions. It's cute when they're little, but she's 7 now. She interrupts. She corrects your father. It's a lot. I swallowed. So, she's not invited. It's just for this year, she said quickly. You and your boyfriend can still come. Of course. Maybe Lily can stay with a friend. My hands went cold. You want me to come to Thanksgiving? I said slowly. But leave my kid at home because she asks questions. Don't make it sound so harsh, she snapped. Understood, I said before I could stop myself. That night, Lily asked why Grandma didn't want her there, and something inside me quietly began to close. I didn't tell Lily right away. That night, after the call, I sat on the edge of her bed while she brushed her teeth, watching her reflection in the mirror as she hummed some off-key tune she'd made up about volcanoes. She was happy, oblivious, the kind of happy that feels fragile once you know how easily it can be cracked. Mom, she said, foam still on her lip. Are we bringing the gratitude chart to Grandma's again this year? My chest tightened. She'd made it herself the year before. A big piece of poster board with glitter markers. Things we're thankful for, written carefully at the top. She'd listed things like fire trucks, mac and cheese, Mrs. Carter from the library, and Grandpa's laugh. Not this year, I said lightly. Too lightly, she frowned, then shrugged. Okay. Can we still have mashed potatoes? Definitely, I said, kissing the top of her head. Mashed potatoes are non-negotiable. She smiled, satisfied, and crawled into bed. I stood there for a moment longer than necessary, listening to her breathing slow, and felt the weight of what I'd agreed to press down on me. Understood. I'd said it like I always did, like it was easier to swallow the discomfort than to challenge it. Like peace was something you bought by staying quiet. When I got downstairs, my boyfriend was sitting at the kitchen table, laptop open, staring at numbers. He looked up the second he saw my face. They called. He said it wasn't a question. I nodded. I didn't soften it. I didn't rephrase it. I told him exactly what my mom had said about wanting a peaceful holiday, about Lily being too much. About how I'd said understood without thinking. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he closed the laptop slowly. So they want you, he said carefully. But not your kid. I let out a shaky laugh. When you say it like that, it sounds bad. It is bad, he said, not angry, just certain. I stared at the floor. They're my parents and she's your daughter. That was it. That was the sentence that stuck. The next few days passed in a strange fog. I went to work. I ran calls. I laughed at the station like everything was normal. But every quiet moment, my mind went back to that phone call. To Lily's questions, to how easily my parents had decided she was optional. The money transfers went through like clockwork that Friday. $200 gone before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee. For the first time in 7 years, I noticed it. The following week, my mom texted. Did the deposit go through? No. Hello. No, how are you? No mention of Lily. Just money. I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Yes, I hated myself for it. A few days later, Lily came home from school quieter than usual. She dropped her backpack by the door and climbed onto a stool at the counter while I chopped vegetables for dinner. Mom, she said. Yeah, Bug, why doesn't Grandma ever ask me about school? The knife paused midair. I kept my eyes on the cutting board. I don't know, I said honestly. She asks Mark and Ella, Lily continued. She always says they're so good at sitting still, I swallowed. Some people notice different things. Lily considered that. Is asking questions bad? No, I said quickly, turning to face her. It's one of the best things about you. She nodded, but she didn't look convinced. That night, after she went to bed, I opened our banking app and scrolled through years of transfers. Every Friday, no missed weeks, no pause. Even when money was tight, even when I was exhausted, even when I felt taken for granted, I thought about the cruise. The way my mom's voice had gone flat when I said no. How fast affection had cooled once the answer changed. Peace, I realized, had a price, and I was the one paying it. Thanksgiving week arrived with a heaviness I couldn't shake. On Monday, my sister texted, Mom's stressed. She doesn't understand why you're being distant. On Tuesday, my dad left a voicemail. Your mother's upset. You need to fix this. No one asked about Lily. On Wednesday night, I sat at the kitchen table with my boyfriend while Lily colored at the other end. Her tongue poked out in concentration. So, he said quietly, are we really going to let them pretend she doesn't exist? I looked at my daughter at the way she filled the page with stars and arrows and questions written in uneven letters. No, I said. The words surprised me with how solid it felt. After Lily went to bed, I logged back into the credit union site. The automatic transfer was right there. Familiar routine, 7 years of compliance. I clicked cancel. A confirmation box popped up. Are you sure you want to stop this recurring transfer? I didn't hesitate. When it confirmed, I took a screenshot and saved it in a folder I named Boundaries. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from relief. Then I opened a new account. I named it Lily's Questions Fund. I transferred $5,000 into it. If they don't want her at their table, I told my boyfriend, I'll make our own. He smiled at me then, proud, steady. On Thanksgiving morning, Lily came out of her room wearing a yellow dress with little rockets on it and leggings covered in planets. You ready? I asked. She nodded seriously. Do they have microphones? For what? So people can ask questions. Or I can. I laughed, my throat tight. Yeah, kid. They do. She grinned. And for the first time since that phone call, the weight in my chest shifted. I didn't know yet how angry my parents would be. I didn't know how fast the fallout would come. All I knew was this. I was done paying for a piece that didn't include my child. The banquet hall smelled like roasted turkey and industrial cleaner. The kind that never quite disappears no matter how much you decorate. Long folding tables stretched across the room, covered not with fancy linens, but with thick butcher paper taped down at the edges. Instead of place cards, there were cups of crayons scattered everywhere. Across the center table, I'd written in big block letters, "Write one thing you're curious about." Lily stood in the middle of the room on her tiptoes, watching the DJ set up. His soundboard was a maze of buttons and wires, and she was already vibrating with questions. "What does that one do?" she asked, pointing. "And that slider? Why is it longer than the others?" The DJ smiled. Not the tight smile adults use when they're tolerating a kid. A real one. "That's the equalizer," he said, crouching down so they were eye level. "It helps control different sounds." Lily's ponytail bounced as she nodded. "So, it's like sound balance." "Exactly." I watched her from across the room, my phone buzzing in my pocket. I didn't have to look to know who it was. "Mom." I let it buzz once, twice. Then I thought, "No, you wanted this." I stepped away from the tables and answered. She didn't say hello. "What is this I'm seeing on Facebook?" she snapped. "A banquet hall?" "Yep," I said calmly. "Thanksgiving with strangers." Her voice rose. I could hear plates clinking in the background, football murmuring on a TV. "They're real Thanksgiving. 60 people," I said. "Friends, neighbors, people who like curious kids." "You're making a spectacle," she hissed. "You made your father look like a monster." I took a breath. My hands smelled like turkey and sanitizer. "Real family shows up," I said. "And real family doesn't ban a 7-year-old for asking questions." She started talking over me, her voice sharp, but I pulled the phone away from my ear for a second, staring at her name on the screen. I thought about the way my dad had said it weeks earlier, casual as a weather report. "Just adults this year, understood?" "No," I said firmly into the phone. "I'm not doing this. And before you ask, the Friday deposits are done." Silence. "What?" she said finally. "I cancelled them," I repeated. "I'm not funding a family my child isn't part of." Her breath hitched. "You can't just." "I can," I said. And I did. I hung up before she could say anything else. People were arriving now. Friends from work, Lily's teacher, neighbors who waved every morning but had never been inside our house. Each one knelt down when they met Lily. "What are you curious about today?" she asked them seriously. No one laughed at her. Kids took turns speaking into the microphone between songs. One wanted to know how clouds stayed in the sky. Another asked why dogs tilted their heads. Lily asked why fire burned different colors. No one shushed her. Halfway through dinner, my sister texted, "Mom is losing it. Dad says you're cruel." I didn't respond. Then the knock came. I knew it was them before I opened the door. My parents stood in the hallway, coats on, faces tight with anger and something that looked like panic. My dad started to speak, but I held up a hand. "You're not coming in," I said. "We just want to talk," my mom said, eyes darting past me. "Not today," I said. "And not where Lily can hear you. She's our granddaughter," my dad snapped. "Then you should have treated her like one," I said quietly. Behind me, Lily's laughter floated through the room. I closed the door. Later, Lily asked if Grandma and Grandpa were mad. "Yes," I said honestly. She nodded, went back to building a cardboard Mars base with another kid, and didn't cry. That hurt more than tears ever could. As the night wound down, I looked around the room. At people leaning in when a child asked why. At plates scraped clean at a table that listened. This wasn't revenge. It was a line. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty for drawing it. The silence afterward was loud, not dramatic, not explosive, just empty. The kind that settles in once the adrenaline fades, and you're left standing in the quiet, wondering who's still there when the noise is gone. The Friday after Thanksgiving came and went without a transfer. No money left my account, no automatic deduction, just a normal balance staring back at me when I checked my phone at the station. My mom texted at 8:12 a.m. The deposit didn't come through. I read it while sitting on the edge of my bunk, boots half-laced, the smell of coffee drifting through the room. I didn't respond right away. I finished tying my boots first. That felt important. Then I typed, "That's correct." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Your father is very upset," she finally wrote. I stared at the screen. No mention of Thanksgiving. No apology. No question about Lily. Just money. I put my phone face down and went to work. The fallout spread in small, predictable ways. My sister called, her voice tight with stress. "They're scared, Nancy," she said. "They don't know how they're going to manage." "They managed before me," I said. "They can manage after." "You know, they didn't mean it like that," she insisted. "Lily just overwhelms them." I closed my eyes. She's 7. A week later, my dad left a voicemail. Not angry, hurt. "I don't understand how you could do this to us," he said. "After everything we've done for you." I listened to it once, then I deleted it. What they were really saying was, we didn't think the rules applied to us, that loving Lily was optional, that I'd keep paying no matter how small they made her feel. They were wrong. December came, then January. No invitations, no casual drop-ins, just the occasional text about bills or the cost of groceries. Each one unanswered. At home, something shifted. Lily started thriving in ways I hadn't expected. Without the constant undercurrent of being too much, she relaxed. She asked more questions, not fewer. She started keeping a notebook by her bed labeled "Things I Want to Know." Every night, she added something new. Why do stars flicker? How do elevators know what floor they're on? Can fire change shape? Sometimes she'd crawl into my lap and read them to me, waiting for answers I didn't always have. "I don't know," I'd say. "That's okay," she'd reply. "We can find out." My boyfriend watched all of this quietly. One night after Lily had gone to bed, he took my hand. "I'm proud of you," he said. "For what?" I asked. "For choosing her," he said, "even when it cost you." It had cost me not just money. It cost me the illusion that my parents would ever change if I tried hard enough. It cost me the version of myself that believed love was something you earned by being useful. In early spring, my mom called for real this time. Her voice was softer, careful. "Your father and I have been talking," she said. "We may have handled things poorly." I waited. "We miss you," she added. "You miss the deposits," I said, not unkindly. A pause. "We're willing to try," she said finally. "If Lily can just learn to rein it in." That was my answer. "No," I said, "she doesn't need fixing." Silence stretched between us. Then she sighed. "Well," she said, wounded again. "I guess we'll see." After the call, I sat at the kitchen table for a long time. Lily was on the floor nearby, building a structure out of blocks, narrating every step to herself. "Mom," she said, suddenly looking up. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." I said, "Why do some people get mad when you ask why?" I thought about my parents, about money, about holidays, about the cost of peace. "Because questions change things," I said, "and not everyone wants things to change." She nodded, satisfied, and went back to building. People expect big endings, shouting matches, tearful apologies. That didn't happen. My parents didn't explode my life. They faded out slowly by choosing money and comfort over my child. Canceling those transfers and renting that hall wasn't revenge. It was a line. If you can't love my daughter as she is, you don't get my money, my time, or my holidays. I'll fill the chairs with people who hear a 7-year-old ask why and lean in instead of sighing.